Let's move to the Canadian Football League. Injuries have caused a lot of problems. I mean, look, it's football. Injuries happen. But key injuries at key positions have affected some key teams. One of them handled it a whole lot better than the other. Because that was awful, what we saw from Hamilton against the Riders. Let's talk about what we saw from the Canadian Football League here this most recent week. So, going into the Rider game against Hamilton, for those who don't know, I do the best bets over on 3 Down Nation. I thought about doing the Rider one. The spread scared me a little bit at 8.5, just because the Riders have kind of been known to play with their food. Um, Turns out it would have been the right bet, but holy crap. Like, that game, the game kind of sucked, first and foremost. Riders against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But Saskatchewan won convincingly, but it wasn't dominant. Like, I was expecting, if it was going to be that blowout win, you would know it early. Like, it would be, okay, Saskatchewan's come to play, they're going to put this team away early and be able to cruise. That wasn't it. This was a close game going into Hamilton had a chance to tie it going into the half, and just Dolegala is him, and just in the opposite way that the kids mean it now. And they end up getting a field goal. Saskatchewan comes out, and in the fourth quarter, they finally put that one to rest. But I was expecting it to be like Saskatchewan stomps down, and away they go. But they've never been that team. They weren't a season ago. They went on to win the Grey Cup. So it's not like this is going to be something that is going to be completely devastating to their chances or anything like that. But this is a team that, for better or worse, kind of plays to their competition. And I think they did that with Hamilton here in this football game. But eventually they were able to come away with a pretty easy win. Like, it never felt in doubt. You know, like, it was obvious from the beginning which football team was better. And credit Hamilton's defense for keeping them in it as long as they did. But it was obvious which team was better in this game. Saskatchewan just waited a while to finally prove it on the scoreboard. So they're fine. They're going into the bye. The offensive line played really, really well. Ouellette was running fine. Trevor Harris had a good game in the big three. Like, Keenan Schaefer-Baker is making a case to be one of the best receivers in the league. That spot obviously owned by Philpott right now in Montreal, but he's making a case to be that guy with Saskatchewan. And they got two others who can do it too with Emelis and Keyshawn Johnson. It's on the Hamilton side where this is concerning. I tweeted out after the game last night, I don't know who the quarterback for the rest of the season is for Hamilton, but I know who it's not, and it's Jake Dolegala. And you can say, oh, well, he's facing a Corey Mace defense, and he's just coming in for this week, and it's a whole new situation. There was no, aside from the fact that he's tall, there's nothing about him through now 13 starts in this league that makes you think that, oh, he will actually turn it around. And now you get into the weird part of the roster construction with this team and how tricky it can be, because Bo Levi Mitchell, unbelievable, was playing at an MOP level again and felt like Hamilton could be a favorite in the East. And now he goes down, which you don't expect a guy to go down with a broken ankle, but I would suggest that the dude who's pushing up toward 40, you may want to insulate him with something a little bit more consistent as a backup. And they went with Trey Ford. And this is the thing I have always been upset about with Trey Ford. And look, like, he is probably not as good as I thought he was going to be. And I don't think he's ever going to be the Lamar Jackson of the CFL or anything like that, as that mobile quarterback who can take things over and still make some throws. The problem is teams keep bringing him in and keep trying to make him a pocket passer. If you're going to bring Trey Ford in, you need to bring in a Trey Ford offense. Instead, they, like, in garbage time, but you have him on a team with a dude who's just a pocket passer in Bo. Like, him and Trevor Harris, the pocket passers in the league. And he was trying to do that against Saskatchewan. And then he got out and scrambled, and hey, look at that. Everything was going. I'm not saying you need to be like Navy and doing the option on every play, but you do need a different playbook with Trey Ford. And now, like, they have some tough games coming up. Toronto's defense isn't very good, but Toronto's tough. Montreal looked very good against Calgary. And then I forget who the third one was. I think it might be Calgary that they play. Either way, you have some tough teams coming up here for Hamilton, and you had a real shot of winning the East maybe, and at least hosting a playoff game. Now, like, it looks helpless. And I don't know what you do. Do you implement a full Trey Ford playbook in 1 week? I don't know if you can do that. Do you try to turn him into a pocket passer in a week? I can tell you now, that ain't going to work. I feel like he has more potential to do that than Dolegala does, obviously, of turning them into a bit of a big play threat or something. But they're in this weird spot because they made a weird choice with their backup quarterback who has exactly nothing in common with the starter. So roster construction, I think, is working against this team right now, but you have to try something else because Dolegala was not, is not, won't ever be it for the Ticats. Other couple quick thoughts here. Stampeders secondary, I think they need some improvement there. The rest of this team is so good. I think they feel like they're a couple of dudes away, right? And we'll see about Bagleton's health. Sounds like that's turning around. Joe has tantalized many with the talent. Obviously, there are some off-field things that make you feel a little bit icky about the situation, but he is at least apologizing and saying the right stuff, as is the organization right now. Maybe those guys can turn into that. Like Philpott is good, Barnes is good, Brissett good, but none of those guys are like, okay, it's 3rd and 3, game on the line, who we going to? You don't have that right now in Calgary, and you don't have like a guy in the secondary who can help slow other teams down. But like the rest of it, like VA is playing very good. The run game is good. The offensive line is playing pretty strong. That defensive line is scary good. It's just if they can get the ball out in time, there's a lot of holes in the secondary. Montreal's a tough team to defend against that, but they picked them apart. Calgary, I feel like, is so close to being an excellent team. Just a couple of pieces. And those pieces might even be in town. It's just they need to get them healthy and need to get them ready for actual game reps. But Montreal, they look like they're getting back on track. It's been a bit of a shaky season for them, but like Davis Alexander is playing like the best quarterback in the Canadian Football League right now. They don't have a run game that overly scares you, although it had a bit of a big game, or a couple of big plays anyway against Calgary. They have the best receiving core in the league, and it's not close. And they have a scary as hell defense, even though Calgary put up 30 against them. They have a scary as hell defense. Like they look like they could be number one here in the Canadian Football League. We'll do power rankings a little bit later on. And the Toronto Argonauts, that's a bad loss for them. I know like the defense has not been good at all, but to have Drew Brown in his first start after getting traded to Winnipeg like 10 days ago, to have his first start and go in and beat you guys up against a Winnipeg defense that has shown they have some holes. I expected more from Toronto. Like that was an opportunity for Toronto to maybe put a stamp on things, put some pressure on Montreal. Instead, right now it looks like another season of Montreal kind of running away and hiding in the East Division, and everyone else just seeing who gets to host the game that will provide the cannon fodder for Montreal in the East Final right now. Because Toronto, like I'm not the big Chad Kelly guy. He's played well. They have receivers that you like, but that defense is such a problem out there. And it was a chance to show that they can at least do it again sometimes. They didn't do it against a Winnipeg team that's just right now. So that significantly hurt my view of where the Argos are at this particular time. So want to do more CFL here. Again, like part of the frustration with how everything went radio-wise here is that there's a lot of good local stories happening here in Calgary. I am going to try to focus on more of those, Stamps included, but I do a lot of CFL coverage anyway, so I want to do a little bit more on the Canadian Football League here on Couch Potato Diary. By the way, like we do all this live, but if you missed anything, or if you're just a Flames person, which I get would be a few of you, if you're just a wrestling person, if you're just a baseball person, I do have all the playlists on the YouTube channel, so you can just watch the content from those sports in particular, instead of, you know, if you're a CFL fan and you had to wait, what are we, an hour and a half into this thing? That's maybe a long time to wait for the 5 minutes that you just got. So check out the playlists. Even for Rider fans, I have just a Rider one on there because that was obviously is where I'm from and all that too. But I want to do more on the Stamps as well too, as we kind of roll through this thing.